Yo, what is up, LinkedIn fam? No, not LinkedIn fam. What's up, podcast listeners? You're listening to the Zack Scriven Podcast with Katt Valov. Katt,
Hey.
What's up? Katt, who are you?
Well, I'm a family friend of Zach over here. I'm also I'm also a
You
listener.
can't stand looking at yourself?
No,
I can hide it if you want.
No, it's fine. I'm also a listener of the Zack Scriven Podcast for quite some time now, since pretty much you started. I mean,
What made you want to come on?
Just I do fully support you and what you do, and
Thank you.
I just.
You wanted to give me an opportunity
Yeah.
or excuse to talk about myself?
Sure, why not?
Well, I want to get to talking about you, but yeah, it says the stream internet can totally see you now. Nice. So yeah, let's talk about like what is the most interesting, like what draws you to my content aside from just that we're friends outside of YouTube space.
Well, I mean, you're not afraid to speak what you want. Like, and a lot of YouTubers don't have that. Like, some do. Like, there are some YouTubers and some podcasters, I don't know what they're called,
Right.
who,
Like Joe Rogan.
yeah, he's completely, he speaks his mind. There's, like I was telling you earlier, Onision, he speaks, he doesn't care what anyone thinks or what.
That's another podcaster you like listening to?
Yeah, he's a YouTuber, like a actual full-blown YouTuber. But, like you just report on what's really going on.
Yeah.
And
But that can get me in trouble too,
yeah, that's true. A lot of people.
I've been told, like, people are like, oh, Zach, you don't know what to expect, like he's a loose cannon. I mean, I'm not a cannon, I haven't destroyed anything, I speak the truth and nothing but the truth. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, for better or for worse, because I just think that a lot of crap is just BS, and
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's what a lot of people, have kind of fallen into, that societal trap. And not that it's a trap. Like, obviously, there's some parts of, functioning society that are necessary.
Yeah,
like government, but maybe the government is a little bit too big. I don't know, like maybe it's okay. Maybe it's okay to talk about that without getting offended.
yeah. A lot of people. I am honestly. I don't know. I wouldn't say ashamed, but I am part of, this generation or whatever you want to call it.
Gen Z.
Yeah. And I'm not like the whole, I don't get offended very easily. I don't.
Gen Z has been said to be more conservative than millennials. Like, millennials are very liberal,
Yeah.
But Gen Z is kind of playing out to be a little bit more like focusing on, personal responsibility and, like just taking action and things like that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't, I read like all these things on Facebook and the internet, and they're like, oh, everyone's getting offended because of this, or, this happened. And it's like, who cares? Like, I know there's like things in the world that are going on for real, and they're like, hey, that's pretty serious. But, if you're getting offended by what people say, it's like,
yeah,
who cares really?
Yeah.
Like,
so give me an example of that.
Like, a lot of people, like I enjoy constructive criticism. I really like when people tell me, hey, this is what you're doing wrong, or hey, maybe you can work on this. And a lot of people can't, take that. They break down and they, they fall apart whenever someone gives them something like that. But I think it's, healthy and, to better yourself. Like, if you're doing something wrong, why would you want to stay in that way?
Yeah. You should want to hear that, yeah. Or if it hurts, then there's probably a reason why you don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
And
like,
you should maybe look at that.
This is an example of me. I was just recently diagnosed with ADHD.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people at my school, when they found out, because I did have to be put into a different class for my English because of my ADHD and how I wasn't able to concentrate and how it was, it was really hard for me to stay focused. And a lot of kids were like, oh, well, that means there's something wrong with you. Or, that means that, there's some like you're a weird person. And it's like, no, it's just, something I was born with. And I wasn't properly diagnosed or helped until right now, until a couple months ago. And it was.
So how has it been? It's
been really hard because I don't like the way my medication makes me feel. I don't feel like myself, and I just have to get used to, trying to stay focused, and to the point where I can, maybe one day get off my medication and be able to control myself by myself.
Yeah. And that's a tough thing. I was at one point diagnosed with ADHD, and then, taking prescriptions for it. And I think that they did work, but then I did end up like not using them correctly. And so I stopped taking those, but,
and it's hard. I mean, there's different medication affects people differently. I mean, mine right now, it's really hard because I can't feel emotion right now. And it's like I also have depression and anxiety. So between both of those medications, it's really hard because right now I could start laughing and then just start crying.
Wow.
And I don't feel sad. I don't feel happy. Just.
That's how I feel most of the time, though.
And it's really hard.
I've kind of like, I mean, emotions is like a strong point or a weak point, depending on how you look at it. For me, like I tend to I try not to let those like creep into like a lot of maybe business decisions and like just a lot of the way that I base a lot of my decisions off of. Yeah. But and when it comes to relationships, then that also hurts.
Yeah, that hurt because I don't know how to read social cues. I don't know how to take signs. So if someone's hinting towards something, it's very hard for me to get because I'm like,
oh my gosh.
It goes straight over my head.
That sounds exactly like me.
It goes straight over my head. Like when people are like, oh, hey, like maybe, you should, like you have to tell me straight out. Like,
yeah.
You have to be like I can't read like, facial expressions and stuff like that. I don't get social cues. So if you're sad or mad or happy, you have to tell me because I'm not going to get it. I'm not going to. And it's really hard for me to remember things. So if, you're saying like, oh, I don't like when you do this, you have to tell me a couple times. Otherwise, I don't retain it. And it's really hard because I do generally make a lot of people upset because, I speak my mind and I don't think before I speak. My stepmom says I don't think before I speak. I like to be as surprised as everyone else when it comes out of my mouth because
as surprised as everyone else.
It doesn't,
That's pretty funny. I mean, that's well, I mean, it's not funny if it's getting you in trouble and breaking relationships, but that statement is pretty funny. Surprises everyone else. But a lot of times though, then that is so like that's what makes you you know.
Yeah. And I don't let my ADHD or anxiety or depression bring me down. I don't use it as an excuse. I don't use it like to where I'm like, oh, well, I can't do this because I have ADHD, or I can't do this because I do. My anxiety right now has been really through the roof because I have a new diagnosis and because I'm like, how is this going to affect me? But I've been living with it for pretty much all my life, I guess, because I've been like this, since I was born, I guess, or when I first, started going to school.
Would you say that that's part of also why my content resonates with you, is because I kind of have like a similar, I guess, ADHD, Asperger's type, like where, I'm kind of like just saying my mind, like, but that, I guess my story kind of resonates with you. And
I feel like I connect more with you than I do. Like my sister has ADHD as well. And hers is on a different level than mine. I have a hyper aspect of it, but it comes in like spurts, I guess. Like, it's not all the time. My sister's is all the time. It's very, very, very hard for her to sit still. Like,
how do you live with her like that?
We work together, because I'm learning the techniques. I'm learning the grounding techniques, like the touching, the feeling, the
Let's hear them. What do you do?
Well, there's one where my psychologist taught me when you're having like an attack or something where you feel like you just can't sit still, like touch something and think about how it feels. So like this wood feels bumpy but like soft at the same time, or you could touch like, or if you can't touch something, look at something like, if my school has popcorn ceilings, so sometimes I look at them and I think, okay, that probably feels rough because it has texture or something like this.
Interesting.
So it's called a grounding technique where you like put yourself like in the moment instead of thinking ahead or in the past or, everything that's going on. You just think about what's happening now. And it does help me stay focused because it is really hard for me. Like if I'm sitting still in a quiet classroom, I basically kind of drive myself crazy because I start thinking about everything else that could happen. I start thinking about everything else that is happening.
Interesting. Yeah. I like that idea of the grounding technique. I can see how that could bring you to the present moment. I mean, with so many things to think about. But there's a YouTuber I follow. I actually met him at VidCon. His name's Nishantha, and he talks a lot about like ADHD and also dyslexic. And dyslexic and ADHD are kind of like the same thing but opposite.
Yeah.
Like one has like really, like it has to do with the way that the neurons and the synapses and connections in our brains, and basically at one end of the spectrum, like there's neurotypical, and then there like, which is a normal person more or less. I mean, not that they're normal, everyone's unique, but in the way that their brain is wired, ADHD people have a lot more connections. Dyslexic people have a lot fewer, I believe. But yeah, like it's interesting, but it's a superpower too, though, because we become dyslexic people and ADHD people, like they have certain skills where they can operate better. And
we have to learn how to overcome it, and it can make us stronger because you have to deal with, people being like, oh, well, what's wrong with them? Why can't they sit still? Why can't they do this? And so, you have to overcome it, and you think, I guess I'm a stronger person because any other person, if, like you see those people on the street and they're like judging you or whatever. And, most people are like, oh, why are they looking at me? Like, why are they doing this? Why are they doing that? But, I've learned, with my anxiety and stuff like that, to just be like, okay, like try and get yourself under control because, it's hard, I guess.
It is hard. Would you say that the anxiety affects you more or the ADHD?
I think they both affect me, I guess, the same, because my anxiety is mostly around like when I go out to stores and stuff like that, I have to have my headphones on, even if they're not playing anything, because people give me really bad anxiety. Like shopping for me, I can't push the shopping cart because I get really anxious when someone's in my way and I'm like, go, like move, like you're taking forever or whatever. And it's hard for me because I'm like, okay, I have to try and calm myself down to be able to be like, they're not going as fast as I am. That looks like a 90-year-old woman. She probably can't move as fast as I can. And because of my ADHD, I'm like, go all the time.
Yeah. Where are we really going to?
Yeah. We have no destination, but we're going.
Yeah. So speaking of destination, where do you want to go with your life?
Well, I actually want to become not my end game, but like I have two careers that I want to pursue. I have one, I want to be a flight attendant, and nice. Even before I met Mary, I wanted to be a flight attendant. And I wanted to see the world and travel and maybe write books or articles about what I see and, save up for college. And then I want to go to IVC, which is Imperial Valley College. They have an excellent ag program, which is my passion, Zach knows I show lambs.
Agriculture.
Yeah, agriculture. I show lambs. I've shown a goat. Next year, I'm showing a lamb, and then my senior year, I will be showing
What'd you show him?
This year, I showed a lamb, and I got 4th place market.
What did you show the lamb?
No, I do showmanship and stuff like that, which is where, like, if you go to the fair, you know, the farm, like the animals there, and you know how, like, the kids are dressed in the FFA, and they brace them and they walk them around. It's actually really hard. I mean, most kids or most people are like, you know, why do you do it? Like, what's the point? And I feel very strongly about agriculture because, I mean, that's where our food comes from. Most people just think agriculture is farming, but it's more. It's, you know, the animals, it's welding, it's...
What's welding? Like...
There's agriculture welding. So, like, you work on... So, like, there's welding where, like, you build buildings and stuff like that. Right. And agriculture welding is, like, you build, like... Like, if a farmer has...
Farm tools.
Yeah. And if a farmer has, you know, a problem with a tractor or, you know, any of their equipment, they can call you out and you can fix it for them.
Okay.
And so there's also ag business, which is like, I actually learned there's a vegetable broker. Oh. So, like, and they get paid a lot of money. Yeah. For doing, you know, just selling people vegetables, like grocery stores.
There's a whole economy behind it that you wouldn't think about.
Yeah, and a lot of people just think, oh, well, you know, our food comes from the grocery store. No, I mean, there's like I live in Brawley, which is a very, very agriculture-centered town. We're a very small, like, community, and if you're in that ag community, you're even smaller, and... Okay. You pretty much know everyone. I mean, my ag teacher, she knows, like, everybody in the farm community. I mean, we just had a panel and a brunch with some of the farmers that were out there. And they were talking about some pretty interesting stuff. Did you know that in 10 to 12 years that pretty much all our farmers will be gone?
There's a worker shortage in farmers. And
a lot of people are like, well, you know, it's just farming. But once you take away farming, you take away our food. No farm, no food. So, I mean, other than, you know, what we get from other countries, but that's a very short, you know, list because we farm most of we're a very self-sufficient country when it comes to food. Most of our beef, our meat actually comes from here. We don't get it from any other place.
Yeah. So there's options within that industry. Some of them seem interesting, but like showmanship seems to be like maybe like a little bit of a hobby, and then you might get a job within that or like a passion. Yeah. And you get a job that also kind of gets you in that field more.
Well, I want to be an ag teacher so I can teach, you know, students, hey.
You should be an online teacher. Yeah, I'm serious. This is where Zach comes out. You should start building your personal brand around agriculture, educating people, like talking about some of those issues, like agriculture is in shortage. And, you know, like now, you know, like imagine if you started building your brand now, talking about your llama.
My lamb.
Sorry. Lamb, you know, your goat, like, and, just making small videos, posting on social media, maybe create a brand or a business around it. Then you could potentially sell farm products, or you could, you know, do what I do, go to events and kind of work with companies on their marketing, or you could be an agriculture teacher to help, you know, teach farmers, like teach farming online, you know, either for free on YouTube or like a paid course. Like you could definitely build a business around that. Like, especially that's the beauty of the online world, is that if you have a passion, then you can monetize that passion.
Basically put it out to the entire world. Yeah. And I mean,
you already are. I mean, it's live right now, you know?
You know, farming is something that no one really thinks about, you know, where our food comes from. I mean, like our school systems, like up here,
They don't teach it, yeah.
You guys don't have it. The closest one is Chino, which, I mean, that's, pretty close, but, like, pretty far. I mean, Upland and Chaffee, they all don't have that. No one, thinks about it, and it's kind of sad.
That's weird that they would only teach it based upon the industry, like, being there. Like, Chino has farms, so they have it at Chino school, but, like you're saying, like, what if I live in Upland and want to learn agriculture?
Well, there is 4-H, which you can do that from ages 4 to 18.
Okay.
FFA, which is what I do, is only high school. So once you graduate high school, you're pretty much done. So if you're, 17 and you graduate high school and you still want to show lambs, you can always go into 4-H. And 4-H, you can do it for another year.
Okay.
So, but FFA is, I would say, better than 4-H because 4-H doesn't teach you the aspect of, they just teach you the animals. They don't teach you the farming and how to, like right now, my final for this semester is I have to grow a vegetable. So I have to tend a vegetable at my school farm. I have a section in our greenhouse and I pick one vegetable or two, but I only chose tomatoes because those were easy. But, it teaches you how to farm and how to, what, percentage of alkaline you need in the soil. So it's not suffocating your plants, And most people are like, oh, just throw a flower in a pot and, you're done. And it's like,
yeah,
no.
I got very involved in the agricultural world at one point in college. I definitely had a green thumb. I did a lot of research and, hydroponics and lighting and air ventilation and for indoor growing.
Yeah.
And spawning, I even made to make clones, like a cloning system. And that was pretty cool. To basically, cut off a stem and then put that into basically it was a box that it just sprayed water consistently. And then after a few days, you see little roots pop out and then you plant that and then you see a plant grow from it.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, I made that happen kind of,
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Well, this year I'm in animal science, which we're learning all about, animal meat cuts, what to do if your animal gets sick. Like my animal this year, my lamb, he got ringworm. And there's this thing, it's called hand, mouth, and hoof. There's a difference between hand, mouth, and foot and hand, mouth, and hoof. Hand, mouth, and hoof you cannot get if you're a human. It's not transferable.
Hand, mouth, and foot disease
is what you can get when
the
you're
human version.
Yeah.
Okay.
And my lamb got that, and I had to figure out how much penicillin and amoxicillin to give him.
Oh, okay.
And then because of the penicillin and the amoxicillin, he got really bad diarrhea. So I had to figure out how much Pepto-Bismol to add to his diet in order to keep him, and how much water I had to. I used to have to take the meat syringes, and I used to have to fill it up with water and then kind of open his mouth and squirt it in there so he didn't get dehydrated. And a lot of people don't see that. You're like, oh, look at the lamb, how cute. You go to petting zoos. But there's someone actually behind that taking care of them. And, you have to, get your hands dirty. I mean, my calluses from ag are going away right now because it's not fair season. But my hands were pretty rough because I had to.
Have you ever stuck your arm in a cow's nether regions?
No, I have stuck my hand in a cow's mouth before. Because my friend Dylan, his calf, I don't know what he swallowed, but he started choking. And so no one was around. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So Miss Taylor, my ag teacher, she had these, the gloves that used to wash dishes. So I had to put that on and I had to open the cow's mouth and go like that. And it was actually a rock that he swallowed, but I didn't know that at the time. And so I had to sit there and dig around. And cows' tongues, I don't know if any of you...
They're sharp?
No, they're have you ever felt a cat's tongue?
Yeah, that's kind of
They're prickly?
Yeah.
A cow's tongue is almost like that, but a little more prickly. So it's scraping against your arm and you're and their saliva is really sticky.
Ew.
So your hands getting all sticky and you're
That sounds almost worse.
A little bit.
Yeah. Okay, bad question. So, what are some of the things in the agriculture industry that are like people should be outraged about?
How we're taking care of our farmers.
Mm-hmm.
Farmers make less than minimum wage per bushel of whatever they sell. When they sell a bushel or whatever they sell to, minimum wage right now is $10.55 an hour.
Right.
Farmers make $7.50 per bushel when they sell it to grocery stores.
What is a bushel?
A bushel is between 15 to 22 vegetables. So it's in the, when you go to farmers market and they're in that the baskets, they make $7.50 roughly. It can go up or down depending on the market.
Right.
But they don't have a steady income. It's not considered a steady income. Now, there is a thing in California going on right now, which I'm really happy about, that...
Is farming a business, though, or is farming a job? Because...
It depends on how you market it, because, you have, there's some farmers in, like Michigan and stuff like that have businesses. Now, they're more...
But they're maybe government subsidized or... Because isn't it some things like... farming is an interesting thing where it's like, let's say you're growing corn or something, and then there's a really bad season and like there's half as much corn. And then you end up like making more money because the price of corn goes way up. And
like, if you remember a couple years ago,
it's weird. Or like then the government comes in and subsidizes it because they want to use it for, that corn fuel.
But corn is actually really essential to us because not only do we eat it, it's one of the number one ingredients in most animal food.
Livestock feed.
Yeah, between lamb and calves. Pigs don't really eat it as much, but chickens eat it. Lambs eat it. Goats eat it. Calves.
Yeah.
So in the feed yards use 20 to 30,000 pounds of corn each day. So if we don't have corn, we don't have meat. Yeah. You have to find something else to feed it. And I know a lot of people are like, non-GMO, grass-fed, which learning from what I've learned in agriculture, there's not much of a difference.
Oh, really?
Grass-fed is a little more healthier and it tends to be leaner. So you don't have them. Yeah, because you don't have as much fat on it. And I guess if, you're trying to watch your weight, you don't want that fat, but it's like I want to say like 2.5% less fat. So it's not that big of a difference.
Right. Okay.
And you pay more for it and it tastes the same, in my opinion. I've eaten both grass-fed and corn-fed, and it pretty much tastes the same to me.
And grass-fed's more expensive, obviously?
Yeah, because, it does take a lot more to, plant that grass every
This is why vegan... What do you think about veganism? Because also there's a lot of water involved in the making of that corn, everything else involved, like also the waste, and somehow the animals are maybe not always treated right. And
yeah, I know.
Like pigs, I know, is especially worse than probably cows. Like I've seen some bad videos of like pigs and
like
the slaughterhouse and like.
No, see, we're actually creating ways to where the pigs. Okay, we're starting with sheep right now. So sheep, when you take them to the slaughterhouse, sheep, most animals, when you separate them, it means death. So right now we're working on having a lead lamb, which is, lambs are a follower. So like if you have one lamb that will lead them, the rest will follow. So if you keep them all together and you take them, and now we're working on
peaceful process.
It's more peaceful for them. And when you stun them, and it's not like electricity or anything, it's like a stun gun, but like less voltage. So they don't
kill them.
No, it doesn't kill them. It numbs them. So like well, you probably don't know, but like when you go into labor and you get an epidural, it's basically the same for them. They don't feel anything
when they get their whatever.
They're no.
I saw a video of a pig on the slaughter line, like a hidden secret video, and like they're supposed to be like pretty much non-awake when they go through the part that like cuts their throat.
Yeah,
and there was one that was awake, and they just ran it through anyway, and you could see the thing like literally being alive and conscious while like blood's just coming out of its throat.
Most slaughterhouses, like we have a slaughterhouse down where I live. It used to be called Brawley Beef, but I don't remember what they call it now because it just recently changed hands a couple years ago.
Okay.
And they have one person. We've actually been there on an ag field trip to, witness like.
So you watched a cow get slaughtered? How does it make you feel?
It was a little queasy at first because you do see these like when they're taking them into the like like they're essentially canals. Like they're very deep and very like not thin but like narrow.
So they can't turn around.
So they can't turn around and run away. These cows or calves, whatever you're slaughtering, they get very anxious. You can see them, squirming because they're not used to being in feed yards. It's generally, 12 to 14, somewhere in there, calves per pin. Yeah. And that's usually like 100 foot by 100 foot pin. So they're used to being able to move around and used to being able to, turn around and everything. And they're not being able to do that. So they do get freaked out.
So where do they go from there?
They go into these where they slaughter their heads or whatever, like where they cut their throats and they drain the blood.
They're on a line though at that point, right?
Yeah.
Hanging upside down?
Yeah.
Or no?
No, not at that point, but they are in a line.
Oh, okay.
But they do have someone, with the stun gun, to make them numb. And then they have, where they're like, falling asleep or whatever. And then they go on the line, like the conveyor belt. And they do have someone who takes it's like a poker, but it's not sharp at the end. It's like, it has a rubber tip on it. So they do have someone who like kind of nudges them to make sure they're asleep. And if they're not asleep, then someone takes them off with a lead and they walk them back around. That way, they don't feel pain and they don't, have to, feel that. Which a lot of people, when they think of a slaughterhouse, they think, oh, they're just, walking down the line, slitting throats. And it's like, no,
they're supposed to be doing it humanely.
Yeah. And I know a lot of places, some people get lazy and they're just like, oh yeah, that one's fine or whatever.
Right. Yeah. Or like the videos of like the workers like torturing the animals and stuff. Like we don't know if that's a strong representation of like happening everywhere, but obviously by the video it is happening.
Yeah, it is happening. And a lot of people, when owners find those videos, they fire that person right away. Right. No warning or anything. They show them the video and say you're out. Because, a lot of people, people took time to raise these animals and they don't, like farmers don't want their animals to be tortured and everything. Like,
right. And if if everyone stopped eating meat because of the bad publicity, then that ultimately hurts their business too.
Yeah, it hurts their business. It hurts
the PR.
The economy. It hurts the people, Like we do sell, we make more beef than any other place in the world. So we do sell beef to China and Japan.
I thought you were like saying we like Brawley. I'm like, like the United States, yeah.
Yeah, like the United
China,
States.
I know we hosted a Chinese family from Airbnb, and they had beef like every night. And Mary was like, it's because it's so expensive over there, and it's like more readily available here.
It is more expensive over there. I know I think, can't remember where one of the farmers I was talking to said, but it's more expensive because it's by weight shipping it over there. So when you're taking, a 2,000, something like calves, my friend, when he had his calf, when we went to market, his calf was like 375. So when they're older and they're fed properly, they're about almost 2,000 pounds. So sending that over across seas is like, sending a package from here to North Carolina is like $17. So, and that's only for like a pound.
Yeah.
So could you imagine like sending 1,000-pound shipment?
So, gosh, I don't know. I just really want a burger right now. Like, to be honest, like, thinking about like burgers and stuff. It's like, sometimes I just want a good burger or a good steak. Like, what's put us on game about Wagyu beef? What's the deal with that? Like the Japanese like style where it's like super ultra expensive. It's okay if you don't know.
It's
about
like, how do I explain it?
It's like highly marbleized and.
Yeah, and I guess you would say it's overhyped. Yeah, it's overhyped over there. So, they think, if we knock up the price, everyone's just gonna pay for it because it's a high end or high demand product.
Yeah.
Like here, like we have the iPhone where it's like everyone wants one, but very few people can afford one.
Yeah.
Like everyone's like, the newest iPhone. Like my grandma, she has the X right now, and she's like, I don't understand. She's just like, I don't understand. But, some people swear by it. And that's the same with beef. Is some people over in Japan swear, by it. I see you looking at my tablet. Yes, I know. It's an iPad.
I'm just looking
I was like, yes, I know. I have
the audio levels and stuff. Just trying to make sure that we have a good podcast.
I would say, yes, I know. I have an iPad. But I didn't buy this. My grandma gave it to me. So.
No, like, I forgot what I was going to say now. Oh, no, I've had Wagyu beef, and I'm going to say it did taste a lot better. Like, and I don't know how much of that is a placebo effect because it costs like twice what the steak costs. But
yeah, and plus everyone tells you how good it is, so you...
It was very juicy, I'll say that.
Yeah, you automatically think in your head, this is going to be great. So when you take a bite, it's like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. Like
gold covered steak.
Yeah.
Like Mr. Beast did that and ordered a $10,000 steak and like said it wasn't very, like, it was just kind of.
It was okay.
Yeah, and they like fed him, so it was like weird, but yeah, the Wagyu beef was only like $50, so it wasn't like that bad. I liked it, but I don't think I would get it like again or every time.
Yeah,
I'd get it again one day maybe.
Yeah, I actually my stepmom, she's planning on sending me, wherever I want when I turn 18. That's my 18th birthday present, is I get to go anywhere in the world I want. And where
are you gonna go?
I have 3 options.
Let's hear them.
I have I want to go to Australia, Japan, or
if you say Dubai, it's a conspiracy theory.
No, I want to go to Hawaii.
Okay.
So those are my 3 places.
If you were like Dubai, Africa, South Africa.
I do want to go to Zimbabwe one day.
You should go to South Africa or Zimbabwe. I guess it's pretty close.
Yeah, my stepdad, Ray, he's been on here before. Hi. He went to Zimbabwe when on a missions trip. And I just remember, he had some beautiful artwork. Like we had this elephant. Elephants are my favorite. That's my animal. Like I love elephants. And we had this beautiful like stone elephant. And I'm like, wow, like someone made this over there. Like someone took the time to sit there and carve it. And, like it's beautiful over there. And like, he's had pictures, of trees and stuff over there, and everyone thinks, Africa, like it's hot, it's dry, it's just dirt, like, but in reality there's, plains of grass and trees, and there's beautiful parts of it.
It's beautiful over there.
And then Australia, I really want to go because I want to go to Sydney, and I want to see like all the architect and
it's
stuff
pretty
over
badass
there.
That's amazing. Sydney, the Opera House,
yeah,
the bridge.
I want to see like all the architect over there. Hawaii, I just want to go because...
Have you been to New York City?
I've only been to Nevada, Arizona, Texas, and California, obviously. Those are the only places that I've been. And I want to travel so bad.
You would love New York. Like, if you like architecture, you would love New York. You would actually love Dubai. London's a place where like I only connected through there at London Heathrow, but I didn't actually go there. But that's another, like any big city, really. I mean, like who would not want to go to these places like Paris, see the Eiffel Tower?
I do want to go to Paris. These are like bucket list things. But I don't want to go to Paris like because it's like the love city or whatever like that. Like everyone goes on about, oh, Paris, it's so romantic. I want to go because they have the catacombs of France, and I want to travel them all the way to Rome.
Oh, okay.
So you would enter in Paris and travel underneath the Eiffel Tower through all the way, and then you'd stay in like they have a hostel room, and then you would stay in these hostel rooms, and then you would travel all the way to Rome. And so like that's like I think it's like a 7-day trip. It's like a whole week. Wow. You do this, you walk, and you basically backpack underground. And I don't know if you've ever seen the movie As Above, So Below. Mm-mm. It's about this girl who searches. Supposedly, the rumor is that somewhere deep buried in the catacombs, there is the Nicholas Flamel's Philosopher's Stone.
Yeah.
And supposedly, if you go through the tunnels that they take, you never come out because you basically drive yourself insane.
Wow.
Like, because it is trapped.
Isolated.
Yeah, it is isolated. It is trapped, and it makes you think, and you think that you're seeing things, and you're like.
But you want to go on that?
I don't want to go like through the tunnels, like find the Philosopher's Stone. I want to go through like the path that everyone else is taking, and I'm safe. But it's crazy down there because most of the walls are built out of bones. Like, because like how could like I know that sounds like creepy and weird, but like it's cool because you're like, how, like, where did all these bones come from? How is there like a tower of bones just like sitting there and no one's noticed, or no one's thought like, where did all these bones come from? Or
that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's really crazy, but like I want to do it. I wanted to do it for a long time.
That's sick, man. I'm like bummed that I didn't go to Tokyo, but I'm also like, there's also positives. Like I'm not super jet lagged right now.
Yeah.
I won't be super jet lagged tomorrow when I would have come home. Or no, tomorrow's Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I would have still like had time. I guess the conference would be going on right now, but then, I mean, it was like 13-hour flight there, 2 days there, 13-hour flight back, but. Like I would have loved to go, like
my dad, he went to Japan twice.
Oh wow.
But he didn't go for a conference. He went because my uncle is he likes to travel, and he took my dad with him, and he went and he saw like all the one time he went to during the Japanese Cherry Blossom Festival. So
I know I want to go and just like actually have a vacation too.
Yeah, like I wouldn't want to go for like a conference, like to like because you'd be spending all your time in a hall. I know, right? And like you'd be working the whole time, and you wouldn't be able to see. There's beautiful fountains and lakes and rivers. I think lakes and rivers are the same thing, but there's trees, and there's parks with ninjas, apparently. My dad, he took a picture, and there's this guy. He was just sitting there on a rock, and dressed in all ninja things, and he's just sitting there meditating. And it's like, you can't do that here. Like, there's very few places where you can just go and sit, and it'll be quiet. Like, you can't, like, sit there and meditate in a park, because, one, people look at you weird, and two, there's kids, and there's playing. And, like, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but it's just hard to, do what they do over there and live their life here.
Yeah. So, where do you think I should go next?
Catacombs, no. Well, where haven't you gone? That's the real question, because I'm thinking...
Okay, there's so many places. Anywhere in South America I want to go, because I haven't been to that continent yet. Technically, I've been to Asia, because Dubai is technically part of Asia, but it's more Middle East, so I do want to go to like Japan or Shanghai, or then obviously Antarctica. Like for some reason, I really want to visit all 7 continents, because for me, that's like kind of a goal.
Yeah.
Conquer the earth, like make, kind of explore,
Well, there you go to Antarctica.
Yeah, so that's the long-term goal. Maybe Everest one day. Maybe. I could see doing that, yeah. It's not like, if it does, like, I don't know. It's not one of those things like I want it so bad it's all I'm dedicating to, but it's like I could definitely see that being cool, to do.
And going back to, our ADHD, it is really hard for us to focus on when we want something. It's pretty much all we can think about for a while is, I don't know about you, but I obsess really bad. Like, I was really, really, really into, like right now my thing is agriculture, and I'm very dedicated. I've actually been, this is the longest I've ever stayed on something. Like,
That's good. That's good.
When I was little, I was really, really obsessed with Taekwondo, and I did do Taekwondo, and I did, I think I was a orange belt, graduating to a yellow belt. Yeah, graduating to a yellow belt, and then I just was like, I don't want to do it anymore because it was hard for me to stay focused. But when I want something or I want to do something, that's all I can think about. That's all I obsess about.
Yeah, which is a superpower,
Yeah,
but
because
it's also a weakness.
Yeah.
Because then you annoy everyone around you when it's like all you want to talk about, Like Mary, she got upset because I was like trying to convince her to do a podcast or to be like a flight attendant vlogger and it's like, I know she's told me many times that social media, like she doesn't really like it. And I know there was one time though that she's like, maybe I'll do a podcast, but then later on she said no. So I don't know. You just got to like leave it alone,
Yeah.
And then maybe I don't know.
But it's hard because, this is something you love to do, and,
Yeah,
you love Mary, and you want her to share that passion with you. Same as, Ray and Harmony, my parents, those set of my parents are not into agriculture because they didn't grow up around it. My dad, my grandpa, he owned a cattle ranch. So my dad grew up raising cattle. My stepmom was born and, pretty much grew up in Brawley. So she had that, agriculture experience, and they're very involved in what I do. They're very involved in my land. They help me throughout the year. They help me even now with banquet coming up. I'm trying to get my farmer's degree, which is a step in state. So I have my green hand degree, which is a freshman degree that you get when you complete that ag. So right now I'm working really hard to get my farmer's degree, and so they're helping me right now with everything I need to learn, retaining the information, because it is, like I said, it is really hard for me to keep information in my brain. I can read super, super fast. Like I can, I read Prusis One Way in like 2 weeks, which is one of the longest books known to man. I think I read it in like 8 days, but I couldn't tell you. I had to reread it like 3 times, and the first 2 times I couldn't tell you what it was about. I read it, I knew bits and pieces about it, but it was very hard for me to keep it in my brain. So I have to reread things.
That's probably why you like podcasts. I think for me at least, reading a book is hard because it is hard to get distracted, but podcasts you can kind of more passively listen to.
Yeah.
So.
Like, I mean, when I watch your podcast, I, play it on my phone, and then I'm either doing dishes or cleaning my room or something.
Yeah.
And so I'm doing something, but I am listening to it. And it's easy for me.
Awesome. Do you have any questions for the audience or for me, or closing notes?
Closing notes. Follow my Snapchat, BlackCatCult _02.
Okay.
Closing notes. There you go. That's the only social media. Like, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, but I'm never really on them. I'm on Snapchat.
Oh.
At least once a day. So that's like
awesome. Well, thank you for being on the podcast. Thank you for sharing your story. I'll have you on again someday, and we'll see, how many lives you can impact through your agriculture work.
Yeah. That's one of my main goals, is to
with 2 legs and with 4 legs.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks. Peace out, guys.